Hi everybody, I'm Vanita.
And I'm Anaya. And we're back on another cooking episode with me and my mother cooking. And today we're going to use
zucchini.
If you've seen the last other videos, you'll see that we have been using a lot of zucchini. If you don't know why and you haven't watched the videos that we explained why, it's because we have zucchini in our garden that just won't stop. So
it's a blessing.
We have to use it for something, or we could just.
And what are we gonna use it for today?
We're gonna use it for chocolate chip zucchini banana muffins.
That's right. We're going to be making gluten-free muffins using oat flour, lots of fiber and protein. And we are going to make these vegan, but you can actually use eggs, and we'll talk about both during the recipe. We also make this as bread. We do it around New Year's. Why do we do that?
We do that because whenever I'm going to school, I pass through a little tunnel, either with my mom or my dad, and it's like a little box under the highway.
And what happens there?
And there we overlook homeless people. And one day, when my dad was driving me to school, we saw a quick view of the police kicking the homeless people out because it's street cleaning. And so,
well, I think
every New Year we make that bread to.
That's right.
Feed the homeless.
That's right. Every New Year's we try to make them a nice, healthy, nutritious treat. We know that they get a lot of food, but it's nice to give them something healthy and nutritious and a great way to celebrate.
How do they get so much food?
Well, they get it from a lot of people that, they need other things like toiletries and whatnot. But, food is great to give. So we're going to start by mashing up 2 bananas. So these are very ripe bananas, and they're going to be mashed. You can do it by hand with a knife and just mash it with a spoon. But Anaya's doing it with a hand mixer, so you can do that really well. You know how to do that. So we're going to make this, as I said, gluten-free. Now, you can start with whole rolled oats. I'm actually going to be using oat flour, but if you use the rolled oats, I would recommend grinding it into oat flour. I actually keep this pre-ground, but you can buy ground oat flour. And we're going to be using 1.5 cups of this oat flour, and that's going to be, kind of like the glue in all of this, and that's the only flour that we're using. So most baked goods, you need to be really careful with the amount of dry and liquid and all the different ingredients, but these muffins are really forgiving. We like to make them to take on the road with us. We're about to go camping, and so this is great to have as a snack. And so I like to keep these around. So that was 1.5 cups of oat flour. We're now going to add about 2 tablespoons of flax seeds. Now, I like to mix up the different kind of seeds that I use. If I am making these vegan, then I will not add the 2 tablespoons of flax seeds. I would use maybe chia seeds instead. Or something else that's going to give you the omegas that you want out of the flax. Now, you want to make sure to use ground flax. You can buy pre-ground flax, but you want to make sure to use ground flax because your body is not going to get the nutrition from flax seeds when they're whole. Is there something you want to say? It's okay. We can finish that up. So you want to, let me get a whisk.
I want to whisk it.
You can whisk it. You can whisk it.
You could do banana.
So we're going to whisk this, and I'm going to continue to add the dry ingredients. I like to add cinnamon to this. You can add other spices. I'm going to add some ground cardamom, but you're welcome to, here, let's, can we move this one a bit? All right, we'll just put this over here. A little bit of space right here. But I'm going to add some cinnamon. You can add about a teaspoon of cinnamon. I just roughly add it in. I really like cinnamon. That's enough for this. But we're going to add some cardamom And then, this is ground green cardamom. And again, you can add like 2 teaspoons of, or I'm sorry, like half a tablespoon of cinnamon, and then like a teaspoon of cardamom. You don't have to add the cardamom. You can go ahead and mix it. And the reason I like to add these spices, obviously for flavor, but cinnamon is a great way to kind of trick your tongue into thinking that something is sweet when it really isn't. And I am also going to add some salt. So this is half a teaspoon of salt. Now, we're going to have to add 2 things. Do you remember what these are, Anaya? This is...
Oh, I remember. So, here's a way to tell the difference.
Well, first say what it is.
We have baking soda and baking powder. Here's the difference to tell apart. Baking soda is like this shiny, sparkly, shimmery stuff, and baking powder is just white powder.
Yep, that's right. She figured out a way to identify the 2, which I thought was great. So we're going to be using half a teaspoon of baking soda. And then we're going to use 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now I'm just going to get this to wipe it off. And again, because these muffins are so forgiving, you don't necessarily have to worry about the ratios like you would for a lot of baked goods, especially when doing it yourself. Now, one of the things that you can add to this is cacao powder. Do you want to make these extra chocolatey? Should we add some cacao powder, or do you want to keep
Extra
chocolatey?
Extra chocolate.
That's right.
Extra chocolate. Extra chocolate.
So cacao powder is wonderful. It has so many benefits for you. I'm going to add about, let's say, a 1/4 cup of the cacao powder in. And we're also going to add some extra protein. Now, I like to add protein in various forms, and it just depends. Yeah, keep mixing them.
You should really smell this.
Yeah. So the protein powder that I use, I'll change up between hemp powder. We have another kind of powder called sacha inchi powder. This is a nut, I believe, from the Amazon. I'm not sure where. But this was a very rare kind of protein that we found that's really wonderful. It has a dry kind of texture, so I like to add it into things like muffins to give it a little bit more moisture, or a smoothie. I also like to use like pea protein that we get in the form of these packets for smoothies and stuff. Now, I was going to make a smoothie this morning and ran out of time. I opened up this packet, so we're just going to use this in our muffin mixture. So this just has a little bit of vanilla bean. Sorry, I just like sprayed that in your face. But it's mostly, this one here is artichoke protein, amaranth, quinoa, pea protein, I think I said quinoa. So, again, these are just various ways that we can include protein into these muffins.
I think I like the cacao powder way better than the smell of it, way better than that.
Than the protein powder, yeah. I don't think anything really beats chocolate. Okay, so these are our dry ingredients, and I'm going to stick this over here, and now we're going to finish up with our wet ingredients. So we have our mashed banana. You can see that it's just, mashed. It's not like purely liquid, but it's good enough mashed. And now I'm going to get a wooden spoon.
Well, my dad's, when we were somewhere when I was 4, he got me a raspberry cupcake, not a chocolate one. So he likes fruit. Nothing could beat him with fruit.
Yeah, he definitely loves his fruit. So I'm going to mash this up a little more. But we like
chocolate! That's where I got my chocolate loving from. And I do not like cheese, so I didn't get the cheese gene.
You didn't get the cheese gene, but you got the chocolate gene, huh?
From you, but
That's
I didn't
right.
get the cheese gene.
From Papa?
From Papa.
All right, so let's just take this out.
He's from France, so he loves his cheese.
So as I mentioned, you can make this using eggs. So you would use 2 eggs if you were going to use this the normal way. You can also use this and make this vegan by using a flax egg. So you create a flax egg. Hold on one second. So you can see that this is pretty gooey. So basically, to create a flax egg, you want 1 tablespoon of ground flax meal and 3 tablespoons of water. So here for 2 flax eggs, I have 2 tablespoons of ground flax meal and 6 tablespoons of water. I give it a whisk. It's going to be extremely like runny and messy. And then I stick it in the fridge for 15 minutes. And now you can see it's got a very, I guess, gooey texture. And so we're going to add this in. And as I mentioned, you know, if you are wanting to change up, so because you're using a flax egg, go ahead and use hemp protein powder, or ground hemp seeds, or ground chia seeds. You know, you can also make a vegan egg using ground chia seeds.
Wash your hands.
Okay, that's fine. So with these vegan eggs, you just want to make sure that the seeds are ground. You can buy whole chia seeds and then put it through a coffee grinder. I specifically have a coffee grinder that I use for spices and other things. You're welcome to use a regular coffee grinder. The only reason that I use a separate one is because I like to keep the oil separate, to make sure that, you know, I'm not giving her any coffee.
What?
But, yeah, that's all. Don't want to give you any coffee, right? I'm just mashing up some little banana chunks that were left in here. If you have some banana chunks, it's okay.
Excuse me.
All right. So what we have now are 2 very ripe bananas and 2 eggs, in this case flax eggs, and we're going to add in some maple syrup. Now you can use maple syrup or agave. I would not recommend using refined sugar. Obviously, these are not really good for your body. You know, these are more natural sweeteners that have a better glycemic index than refined sugar. And we shouldn't use something else.
We shouldn't use honey because cooked honey is actually really bad for you.
Yeah, cooked honey is one of the most, you know, nutritive foods. It has so many properties that are good for us. Antibacterial. I mean, now we are starting to see Mucuna honey used for wounds. This is an ancient Ayurvedic technique. We understand the benefits of honey for our digestion, for our allergies, and things like that. The thing is, when you cook honey, what ends up happening is that it becomes harder to digest. And in Ayurveda, and Ayurveda is the ancient Indian science, thank you, of healing and medicine, and, you know, where a lot of allopathic medicine came from, and a lot of, you know, what we consider, you know, modern medicine in various forms. But what happens is that when honey is not digested, we create a residue in our body, and it's referred to as ama in Ayurveda. And this is kind of a sticky toxin, and it kind of blocks our channels. Now, one of the things that can happen with honey is it not only blocks our channels in terms of the chakras, it can block our channels in other things. And this is where we create a lot of dis-ease. We create a lot of, you know, inability to move this energy through our body. So this is one of the reasons you should never eat honey that's been cooked. And I know that that probably is not something that you want to hear, because I know we have a lot of ingredients out there like honey made on bread and, you know, on meats and different things, but really you should be eating honey only raw. And think about that when you're choosing your sweeteners. So again, agave, maple syrup are great to cook with. Monk fruit sweetener, they do make a liquid. You can use that as well. What would you like to say?
The modern witch movement didn't choose my mom to be the cook just because she meditated. It's because she's a good cook. You should see her work a stove. Aw,
thank you so much, sweet love. That's so sweet of you.
I love you.
I love you. So we have a giant zucchini. Typically you would be using about 1 to 2 small zucchinis. You want about a cup of zucchini. I added a little more. So be very careful with this. This is a very hard zucchini.
I will. I know what I'm doing.
I know you do. So we're going to run this through the food processor. And I'm only going to use part of the zucchini because it's very big.
Just get that up.
Okay, watch your finger, please. This is a very big knife.
I know what I'm doing.
I know you know you're doing, but I just want you to be careful. Now you can turn it this way. Here, you want to do that? Okay, watch your hand, please. Watch your finger. All right. I know. It's a really tough zucchini. So this grew in our garden.
How does that look so easy for you?
You know, it's practice with a knife. This knife is very big for you. You want to make sure when you're gripping a knife that you grip it so that you're holding it, you know, with the 2 fingers there and gripping the handle, and that gives you a better hold on the knife. But your hands are really small. So we're going to run this through a food processor. And here, you want to turn that on? So that we can get this into, you know, some creativeness here.
I don't think a Vitamix would do the trick. I mean, would
No,
it?
you have to do a food processor, or if you
Yeah.
have an attachment to a stand mixer.
Yeah, a Vitamix wouldn't do the trick. But we have a Vitamix,
That's right.
except we use it for smoothies.
That's right. We use it for smoothies. We use it for other mixes. We use it to grind nuts with the dry container.
No, that's not it.
It's okay. Just step a little bit. All right. That'll give us enough zucchini. Oh, I'm sorry. That'll give us enough zucchini. Okay, so the other thing that we're going to add to this is a 1/3 cup of nut butter. Now, you're welcome to use whatever nut butter you like.
I want to put it
Yeah, you can put it in. I've used pistachio nut butter. That was actually one of your favorites.
I want to put it in the cup and then put
Okay. We've used pistachio nut butter. We've used cashew nut butter. We've used almond butter. This time we're using peanut butter, which, you know, all of them give a great flavor, gives a lot of protein, and it also gives a little bit of moisture to it. So about 1/3 cup of nut butter.
How do you make the nut butter so gooey?
Well, you know, the nuts themselves have a lot of oil. And
Mama.
here, go ahead, stick it in. And when you grind the nuts, then you can get a nice, oily, gooey thing. Sometimes they add a little bit of oil in there too. So with these nut butters, you just want to, you know, mix it in with everything else, and then we can add the zucchini.
Yeah.
Go ahead, mix. Actually, let's mix first the wet and dry ingredients, and then we can fold in that zucchini. Okay? Go ahead. You want to stick it in?
Yeah.
All right.
That's me.
Yep, go ahead.
Now, my mom taught me this, and it's a very good lesson. Only use a whisk for dry things. Wet things, yeah, I'll stick all over water to clean. What about dough? Can you use a whisk for dough?
You know, when you use a whisk on dough, it kind of gets stuck in there, right?
Yeah, so we shouldn't use a whisk on wet things. You always want to use it just on dry things, and that means you're not.
Okay, so you add that in. You can see that it's going to be a little bit sticky because of all of the ingredients that we've added in, especially all the extra dry ingredients. Now, we want to make sure that, you know, we don't put too much other liquid in, but what we can do is add the zucchini, which is going to add a lot of moisture to this. And that's really, you know, what is going to add the moisture in the baking. Now, if you add, you know, a cup of zucchini, that's going to be enough, but we've added about 2 cups here because we like our muffins to have a lot of zucchini. And we kind of like them moist too, right?
Yeah, I like them moist. That's my favorite type of muffin. When are you going to use that nice, sweet vanilla?
Oh yeah, we forgot to add the vanilla. You know, we can add that in right now. So typically we'd add vanilla to the wet ingredients, and I'm glad that she caught me. I think it's because we used the vanilla protein packet with the
reason I reminded you it because I always will remember what this bottle looks like. So
that's right.
I want to pour it in.
Go ahead. So you can see that, you know, it's pretty. Let me see if you can see that. It's pretty moist, it's pretty gooey, but enough to scoop up. And again, instead of adding any other liquid, you can always add a little water if you want, but instead of any other liquid, I prefer adding extra zucchini because really you can't go wrong with extra zucchini.
So good.
I know.
It smells like. After this video, can I taste some of this alone?
Ooh. You don't want to add too much. I'm going to take some of that out.
Okay, but Mama.
Yeah. So you only are looking to add about, maybe about a tablespoon of vanilla. I think you've added about 4 there, but I think I took about 2 out. So we've got about 2 tablespoons of vanilla. Now, vanilla is another way that's a great way to trick your brain into thinking something is sweet. We've only added about 1/3 of a cup of maple syrup.
I used to think vanilla was sugar.
That's right, but it's not. So these are going to be very vanilla-y muffins. So in the end, like I said, you only want about a tablespoon of vanilla. Now we're using vanilla bean paste. You can use vanilla extract if that's what you have. I love vanilla bean paste because it's got more of a vanilla flavor.
You make it look so easy.
Thank you. What do I make look easy?
The mixing.
Oh, the mixing. Yes. It's hard, right? It's a tough mixture. You can also do this, with a hand mixer or something else. Now what we're gonna do.
Mama,
yeah.
After this video, can I use? Oh, so you really never want to use the paper ones. You want to use rubber ones. So there are rubber muffin cups. That's what they're called. You want to use 2 scoops. So with this rubber pan, you don't have to put them in the wrappings right away, but eventually you'll have to put them in the wrappings after.
Actually, we don't. So what happens is, with the paper wrappings, as Anaya was saying, you don't want to be using that because it's adding to the waste. So we like to use silicone.
The waste in the world.
That's right.
Plastic could take a lot, like 2 billion years to evaporate, especially plastic bags.
That's right. So that's why we like to use these reusable silicone muffin wrappers or cupcake wrappers or whatever you call them, cups. And when we're on the road, because, we don't like to take something like this with us. These are great when we have them at home or in some other situations. 1 second. Then the other way that we can do it is you can buy these silicone trays. Instead of using the little cups, which we take to like parties and things like that, we can use these. And these are really good for adding to, 1 second. These are really good because what happens is that you can just pop them out, let them cool, and then you've got muffins to go. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say that we forgot the chocolate chips.
No.
Oh.
I was going to say that Papa's home.
Oh, wonderful. So in these, with these, he's been home. He's been working out in the front yard. So we're going to add some chocolate chips. I added some over there without chocolate chips, and now we're going to add chocolate chips to this. You are welcome to add as many chocolate chips as you like.
More.
Okay, so these are the chocolate chips that I'm using are by this company called Enjoy Life. And they're great because they make them, they're vegan chocolate in the sense that they don't add, not yet. Oh, you're going to eat some? Yeah, you can eat some. But they don't have any milk in them. So I've added the chocolate chips. I'm going to mix them in. And you can, I like to use semi-sweet chocolate because milk chocolate is really just not good for you. There's just a lot of, there's just...
Is caramel chocolate good for you?
Well, it depends. Depends on all the sugar content. It depends on everything that you want. I just try to keep things without milk solids and milk products as much as possible. My family eats more of the milk products, and you don't drink milk, do you? You drink oat milk, and you drink what else? What other milk?
I don't drink. I eat cereal.
That's true. You
If
eat
there's any
cereal.
oat milk I have to drink, I'll hesitate.
That's right.
Oopsie.
All right. Let's, can you move your eating over to the side there? You're going to eat over the top of the muffins here. But you know what we need to do on top of these muffins? Add a few extra chocolate chips once I finish scooping them in, okay? So this mixture here will make about, roughly 20 to 24 muffins, depending on how much you're putting in.
20!
So I'm filling these to be about 3/4 cup full. And they're going to rise, but they're not going to rise to like high levels. And then we're going to bake these at about 350 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. You want to keep checking them to make sure that we are not over baking them. So we're going to put these in the oven and then we will be right back. All right.
So everything is done baking.
Yeah. So these took about 20 minutes to make, and
we're gonna taste test.
Yeah, we're gonna taste test. These ones are the ones that were made in the silicone tray. You can see they came out a little flatter, and then these were made in the muffin cups. You can see they're a little bit more muffiny
and hot.
They just came out of the oven. I actually did another batch too, just to show the difference. This one has the extra cocoa powder. This one was done with egg. They rise a little bit more than the ones with the flaxseed egg. But we're gonna taste them. How do they taste? Good. That's really good. So you can see with the silicone wrapper, they come right out. This one's still got a lot of heat to it. That's my water. Yours is over there. Okay. Really nice, really moist. A flaxseed egg is a really good substitute. And more on looks, you can see that, the ones with the egg rose a little bit more than the ones with the flaxseed, but other than that, they taste amazing. I'm gonna try one with the egg, okay? What do you think? Should I try it? Oh, this is hot. Really good too.
Don't burn your tongue now.
It's amazing. They both are really good. So, just to recap, that recipe was 1.5 cups of oat flour, 2 tablespoons of flaxseed, a tablespoon of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I also added some ground cardamom. You can add things like nutmeg, ground clove, whatever you want. And I also added 1/2 cup of protein flour and about 1/4 cup of cacao powder. I added some hemp powder to the egg one, and a little bit of cacao powder too. Feel free to add them in or leave them out. It's just for extra. And then the wet ingredients include 2 large egg or 2 flax eggs, which is 1 tablespoon of ground flax to 3 tablespoons of water, and that's just for 1 egg. And then there's also 1/3 cup of nut butter, 1/3 cup of maple syrup, 2 teaspoons of vanilla bean, so that can be the paste or extract, 2 ripe bananas mushed, about 2 cups of shredded zucchini, and chocolate chips. And that's it. So I think we're going to be eating a lot of muffins, don't you? I highly recommend to use the silicone pads.
By the way, I think you'll know that every cooking video and the person who makes it, once they're done with the video and have all the food, they probably eat it.
That's really good. And I'll share these. But they're going to be great to take on the road. We're going camping next week. So once again, this was baked at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. Just check it. Stick a little toothpick through it just to make sure they're fully baked. That's it. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you get to make these muffins sometime. Bye.
Bye.